Greetings, everyone. My name is Balisa Tadets, and I'm with my colleagues Keith, Mofokeng, and Kitso, and we'll be taking you through our distributed systems, also known as WeShare project, which was mainly focused on web development. And the main aim of the project was to create a platform where various students can track payments, loan money, and track their expenses. I'll be taking you through the first section of our presentation, which focuses on research and data analysis. We'll be focusing on using computer technology for research, the planning and documentation, using the internet for research, presenting our research using computer applications, researching websites development, and the conclusion. Next slide, please. For our research, we used web browsers to access online resources, to view websites, and to test our web application across different browsers. We also used text editors for writing and editing and debugging our code efficiently. We used version control systems, which allowed us to track changes to our code and collaborate as a team and to manage the project's version. We also used communication and collaboration tools to enable us, which enabled us real-time communication, file sharing, and collaboration among the team. Next slide. This is how we planned our project. We took into consideration the importance of critically evaluating the credibility and the relevance and currency of our sources to ensure the reliability of information we obtained. We had a period of 6 weeks to complete the project, and it was divided into 3 iterations, which was the client-side rendering, the server-side rendering, and the distributed components, and each iteration was 2 weeks long. The research methods we used was literature review, whereby we reviewed online resources. We basically used the internet for the research. Our source of information was the Within Code, curriculum, Stack Overflow, W3 schools, and Geeks for Geeks. Yeah. Next slide, please. We extensively utilized the internet as a valuable resource. We relied on various online tutorials, documentation, and forums to grab concepts, troubleshoot issues, and explore best practices. Next slide, please. The computer applications we used to present our project, we went with Google Slides as it offers several advantages, and some of those advantages are accessibility. Google Slides are easily accessible from any device with an internet connection, making it easier to work or on presentation anytime and anywhere. Collaboration. Multiple users can work on the same project simultaneously, allowing for real-time collaboration and seamless teamwork. Cloud storage. Presentations are stored in the cloud, eliminating the need for manual saving and providing automatic backup. This ensures that our work is always safe and accessible. Integration. Google Slides seamlessly integrates with other Google workspace application, such as Google Docs, Google Sheets, allowing for easy insertion of content like text, images, and charts sharing and publishing. A presentation can be easily shared with others via email or link and via email or link, and you can control the level of access, view comments and edits each recipient has. Additionally, you can publish presentations directly to the web for broader accessibility. These are the web development tools we used for our project. To plan our project, we used MyRobot and GitLab issues, or a GitLab feature called GitLab issues. For development, we used VS Code and IntelliJ. We used GitLab as a version control system. We used Google Chrome developer tools to debug our website or code. Then we used Google and Firefox as our web browsers. Next slide, please. To create our project, we used HTML to structure and present the content on our web page, and we used CSS for styling and formatting. We used JavaScript to add interactivity, dynamic behavior, and functionality. We also used Timeleaf to integrate the server side and the client side. The HTML editor, which was used as VS Code, and we selected VS Code because of its lightweight and it offers powerful IDE-like capabilities, including Git integration, debugging, support, built-in version control, and robust extension API. These features streamline the entire development workflow from coding to testing and debugging. And we can conclude that web development with browser plugins and developer tools offer streamlined workflows, enhance productivity, and improve collaboration, empowering developers to create exceptional digital experience all with ease and precise. That will be all for section A. My colleague Keith will take you through section B.
Thank you for that, Palisa. So for this section, I'll be taking you through the cost-benefit analysis we did for this project. That covers things such as the identification of costs and benefits, cost and benefits over 3 years, return on investment over 3 years, some time estimates, and any effects of delays of any part of the project. So to kick it off, I'll take you through the identification of the costs. And with the costs, we identified development costs. We estimated that at around 20 to 50,000 Rand, depending on what the developers charge. We identified infrastructure costs, things like server setup, hosting, and any other technical requirements. We're looking at around 5 to 20,000 for that. And then we also have some maintenance costs. These will be ongoing costs, and we've estimated around 5 to 10,000 Rand per year for that, for updates, bug fixes, and support. We've also got marketing costs, which will be the initial marketing effort just to get the app out there and to promote it. We're looking at around 10,000 Rand for that initially. And then, of course, operational costs, things like administrative expenses, customer support, and any other operational activities. We've budgeted or expecting a cost of around 200 to 300,000 per year. Sources for this information, we used Upwork and Salary Explore. Next, I'll be taking you through the benefits. So these benefits are basically user benefits that we've identified the user will have, and we've converted those benefits into actual monetary amounts. So starting off with time saving, we've estimated that a user can save at least 1 hour per month on expense tracking, and we're valuing that at least 100 Rand per hour. So every year that would be 1,200 Rand per user. And then financial transparency is another benefit. So because this app is basically a social expense tracking app, it would avoid conflicts and misunderstandings between friends and groups. There we've estimated an indirect savings of around 500 to 1,000 Rand per year per user. And then another benefit is social trust. So since we are avoiding conflicts, this can lead to long-term benefits in relationships, increased trust amongst friends, and long-term benefits also with more shared activities between friends. It's difficult to quantify this, but it is a benefit, and a value could be attached to that, but we've excluded it for this. And then the convenience benefit. So the convenience factor, we valued that at around 200 to 500 Rand per user per year, because of course, the time and the effort they'll be saving by using our application. So this comes up to a total of about 2,000 to 3,000 Rand per user per year. Cool. So next I'll be taking you through the cost and benefits over 3 years. So development and infrastructure, these are once-off costs. Development, we're looking at around 20 to 50,000. Infrastructure, 5 to 20,000. And then the maintenance cost being a recurring expense, we're looking at around 50 to 30,000 over 3 years. Marketing costs, 10,000. And then operational costs, 600 to 900,000 over 3 years. And the total of that would be anywhere in the range of 650,000 to 1 million. Over 3 years. And then the same thing for the benefits. So adding up all the benefits we went through previously, we get a total of 6,000 to 9,000 Rand per user over 3 years. And then also assuming that we have 250 active users, that's about 1.5 million to 2.25 million over 3 years for 250 active users. And then taking you through the return on investment over 3 years, just a simple calculation of benefit minus costs. We're looking at ROI of between 850,000 to 1.25 million, basically the profits. And then just some time estimates we came up with for this project here. We've got 3 important stages. We've got the development and testing. We're looking at around 1 to 2 months just for front end and back end development and testing. We've got infrastructure at 1 to 2 weeks, basically setting up the server and hosting and setting up any other technical specs. There'll also be a stage of testing at that point, and then 1 to 4 weeks for marketing. That would basically just be creating promotional material, planning the marketing plan, and launching the campaigns. That's around 1 to 4 weeks for that. And then we'll go straight into the effects of any delays for any part of that development process. So if there are any development delays, these are basically the points or the effects of development delays, starting off with the time to market. Of course, if there's delays in development, that will lead to an increased time for when the program reaches the market. And then we've also got increased costs because if development is delayed, we're going to have extended development times. We might need additional resources to overcome obstacles. There could also be some penalties for contractual deadlines if we're hiring developers, for example, on a contractual basis. We'll also lose out on money since the delay means a longer period before it's released, meaning that we'll be waiting longer before we start generating revenue. And then customer dissatisfaction. This obviously comes from any customers who were anticipating the release of the app, would not get the app and would be disappointed and might not jump onto the app when it is released. And ending off with missed opportunities and deadlines. So this effect is basically speaking about any marketing opportunities, marketing windows. We might miss marketing windows, seasonal demand, or partnerships that we might have had during the pre-launch date. So moving on to the effects of infrastructure setup delays. Similar to development delays, this will impact the deployment date. It will increase costs and it will lead to a loss of revenue for the same reasons as the development delays. And then two other unique effects here. We're looking at testing. Since infrastructure wouldn't be set up, our testers or the testing team wouldn't be able to test in an environment that's similar or close to production, which means the testing scope will be reduced or limited. We'll also have operational inefficiencies because our teams won't be able to fully utilize or optimize the resources that are available to them since the infrastructure wouldn't be ready at that point. And then finally, we have marketing delays. The marketing delays will result in a reduced market awareness. Less people will know about the app. Impact on sales forecasting. Basically, the figures that we would have premeditated to make from the release of the app would be incorrect. And then, of course, resource allocation challenges. So this speaks to, we might have expected, for example, 300 users, but because the marketing was delayed, we only had 10 users, and our resources or the resource allocation was based on 200 users. So we will end up with unnecessary resources there. And that ends it off with the effects of delays for this. And basically that covers the cost and benefit analysis for the project. For the next section, we'll be doing a website demonstration, and I'll be handing that over to Mufokeng Delapiso to take you through that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith. We have decided to develop a single page application, which is a web-based application that uses dynamic ways of rewriting the current page instead of creating a new page over and over. The application we've created is a social expense tracking app that helps you manage your finances with your friends. Aren't you tired of always having to be the one to make sure that the bills are paid at the end of the night? The little mathematics at the end of a bender don't really work out that well after a certain few drinks. So we have come with a solution for all of you Friday night girls and Friday night boys and Sunday session soulful girls and boys out here in South Africa. Let us go to our code and see how we have solved a simple problem that we all encounter. All right. Now, let's take a dive into our single page application and see how this actually works. We'll be going through localhost port 51. Let us run the application. As you can see, once the application is run, the first page we land into is our login page. We have our heading, what is the name of our application, and a place where you can use the user input to add in a specified email address with specific characters that are needed as the @ and the .co.za. When we log in, we see that our URL at the top has extended to the expense pages. We have our heading, which is our WeShare page, so showing that we are still working on this single app application. We have a position where we can see which student is logged in under our heading, and then we have our 4 tabs which allow us to go through our expenses page, our expenses request, payment requests sent, payment requests received, and our logout page. Of course, you need a way to get out of this mess. Below we have our expenses page, since we're already on this tab as demonstrated on top in our URL. Here, from the bottom going down to the rest of this page is where we are dynamically changing our single application page to go through different templates and different functions that it will be able to achieve throughout this demonstration. As you can, okay, let me say this. As you can see, we have our expenses, we have the payment request sent, which will now display different types of information. If we go to our payment request received, we will display different type of information, and of course, a various way for you to be able to log out. Now, let us run through the program and see how does it actually work. All right. As you see, we're on our expense page right now, and you can see pre-saved expenses that have been requested. Now, let's make a scenario where we're adding a new one. It's Saturday, you're out with your friends, and like always, your friend has always forgot their wallet, right? So we'll add an expense to our excursion today. So we'll add a description. What are we getting? Let us get some savannas. The amount we're going to spend is 200 Rand today, and we will add the date at the bottom to show what day is it that we have come to this agreement upon. Let us add this expense. As we can see in our HTML table, that it tells us that when this expense was added, what is the item of this expense, the amount of this expense, and then it gives us other options to see the payment request sent, payment request received, and the net expense. Also at the bottom, if you can see, it gives us the total amount of the expenses that we have occurred throughout this application, which right now is sitting at 600 Rand because we've added our new expense of 200 Rand. Now, if you notice that the Savannah that we've just added under what is a clickable icon. So let us click into that Savannah and see what happens. Once we click into this thing, into the Savannah, we get to submit a payment request for the following expense. So right now we're going to be submitting a payment request for the drink that we have just, the agreement and the drinks that we have just acquired with our friend for the Saturday night. We need to add the email of the friend of ours who is going to be paying for these drinks, which will be student 2. We add the amount which we've agreed on, which was 100 Rand each from the 200 Rand expense. And we have to negotiate with our friends in kind faith. He said he'll pay it in 2 days, 3 days. So we'll give him grace and allow him to pay for it. Today is the 10th of the 5th month. We'll allow him to pay in 7 days, 2024. We are making our payment request at the bottom. As we can see, that now there is a previous payment request for this expense. It shows who the student is, which is our friend, student 2, the date that it was that they've agreed upon for the payment. It tells us if the payment has been paid yet or not, which right now is no, and how much is owed, 100 Rand. Now, we can log out and go into student 2 as our friend and actually complete this request and see what happened to on his side of the single page application once this request has been made. Now with our friend's side, we're going to go to our payment request received, and as you can see, our Savannah at the bottom, you see that from us, student 1, our friend has received a payment request for the Savannah, which is due in 7 days for 100 Rand. Now, let us see what happens when our friend clicks on paying and actually getting the transaction complete. As you can see now, our friend has paid for the transaction. If you can see at the bottom, the total unpaid net has changed, and it was 100 Rand. Now, as you can see now that at the bottom here, it just changed, it's 100 Rand. Once we go back to the expenses page, we can see some information has changed. As we can see, once student 2 has paid us our required 100 Rand, it has become added as an expense on his side of the application. Now let us log out and go back to our side of the application and see what has changed on our side of the field. We'll log into student 1. And as we go to our payment request sent, we see that we sent that request. And the net is a 200 Rand. If we go to when we go back to our expense, we can see that a payment request was submitted on which day? We can see that the previous payment and now the status of it has changed from no pay to yes pay. So the transaction has been completed. This is a simple social expense tracking app that can help deal with a lot of small issues that we face together as friends and as colleagues throughout our excursions throughout to discover new things in the world. Our application is very simple to use, very straightforward, very understanding. We have kept it clean. We have kept the tables and the spaces in between the tables well spaced around so that it can be easily understandable and easily read. We have our everything comes down to some net expenses. We have everything has been totaled throughout the bottom of the page, so you can see how much you owe and how much you're owed towards the end of your within your use of this application. Our WeShare project, as we have demonstrated, is a straightforward, easy to use, user friendly social expensing tracking application. Now, let's look at some of the HTML and CSS features that we've added to this application. Let us open our inspector tool so we can actually see what's happening. As you can see, if you hover above our expenses, you can see that we have created these to be clickable and highlightable headings. And our bottom part where our heading is my expenses, that is a HTML table that if we hover above it, we can see the structure of the table even within the inspection tools. These are the few features that we have used in our WeShare web application to implement HTML and CSS features. And I'll be passing now to my colleague Kitsu to take us through the web development tools.
Thank you, Mofoke. I will be taking you guys through the web development tools, which includes HTML editors and other website design maintenance tools, the advantages and disadvantages of HTML editors, important import file inputs, formats, the role of web browser plugins, and identifying the major plugin types currently on the market. HTML editors and web design maintenance tools are essential for creating, editing, and maintaining websites. They provide features for writing code, designing layouts, managing files, and optimizing website content. The main HTML editor we used was VS Code, which was robust, which has robust HTML editing capabilities and supports syntax, code computation, and it has extensions for web development. Other website design tools include WordPress, which offers customized themes, plugins, and is a user-friendly interface for managing web content. We used Adult Dreamweaver, which supports HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other web technologies. And we have Wix, which allows users to create websites using a drag and drop tool, and it has customized templates that suit users for beginners and advanced users. Next slide. So, advantages of HTML editors, it has syntax highlighting, integration development environment features, and with HTML editors, what you see is what you get. So when you type and everything, you are expecting a certain output. It has extensions and plugins, yet the disadvantages are that it's dependent on a GUI interface. It's vendor locked in, code bloat and non-optimized outputs, and it's complex and overhead. So when creating a website, the advantages of creating a website is that it allows global research, meaning that it is accessible anywhere. In order to create this website, you can use technologies such as HTML, which is used for the structure of the content of web pages. Okay, you can also create web applications, which are very cost effective. Web applications use CSS to style appearance of the web page, JavaScript, which adds interactivity and dynamic behavior, SQL, which deals with the database, and a version control system, which is GitLab. You need important import statements when dealing with websites and trying to build a website. So with HTML, you use import.html. With CSS, you use .css, JavaScript.js, JSON.json, and so forth. Web plugins play a significant role in enhancing the functionality and interactivity of websites by providing additional features and capabilities beyond the native web technologies offer. The first one is enhance the multimedia support. The role being plugins like Adobe Flash Player and HTML5 video/audio players extend the native capabilities of web browsers, support advanced multimedia content such as content such as interactive illuminations, video and audio playbacks, and rich media experiences. The benefits is that it allows users to create more engaging websites. And then the second one is web browser extension frameworks. This creates a custom web browser functionalities and integrates them seamlessly into the user browsing experience. This provides personalized browsing features such as blog ads, password managers, productivity tools, and social media integrations. Next slide. Okay. The major plugin types currently on the market, there's a lot more, but so far the ones that I have provided is number one, browser extensions, which extend functionality of web browsers like Google, JavaScript libraries and frameworks, web components, rich text editors, data visualized libraries, audio and video players, UI component libraries, authentication and identity providers, and content management systems. Thank you guys for watching our video on our distributed systems project. Oh, it's been an honor for myself, Keith, Mofokeng, and Balisa. Thank you. Peace out.